So if we talk about hechsher and supervision that involves leafy vegetables, fruits, and so on, the many restaurants have to pay extra for another level of supervision for these things. A lot of people go to restaurants where there is hechsher, but they wouldn't eat salads and also not only in restaurants. You have guests over, and you see that they systematically don't touch anything that has parsley or cilantro or they do it nicely. They don't say, "Well, we don't trust your methods of cleaning," but they avoid it. Right? They ask you bring let's say vegetable pie, muhammad. They say, "What's in it?" And we say potatoes and zucchini. Okay, good. And parsley. You know what? Right? And so people have this concern about that. It's something to be offensive. The question is, if it's the halakha, it's the halakha. So what do you do? So here we have a teshuvah from Rav Mishash in 1946. Question that was said from Rabat. So it says, שאלת ידידים בכתבך אודות האורז שנמצאו בו תולעים, אם יש היתר לאכלו על ידי בדיקה או לא, כי שמעת אוסרים אותו אפילו על ידי בדיקה. So he said there was worms were found in the rice. So now the question is, can you clean the rice and then eat it, or you should throw it away? So today, this question is almost as much as we hear about in halakha. It's almost irrelevant. Irrelevant. Like how we check. My wife checks rice thoroughly. Every time she cooks rice, every grain is asher ya'avor tahat hashevet. You know, they're all for 30 years. We never found No, we don't. We never see it. But no, there used to be. There used to be in America.
I remember in flour.
Yeah.
In Israel.
Flour could have it.
55.
Yeah.
They used to serve us a loaf of bread. You open and you had a long.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't touch the bread. Why?
Of course, you couldn't touch any bread, right? Right. No, the levels. So this is
sandwich.
No, I know what you're saying. There wasn't in the school where I studied. It happened with my brother, with rice. But this is what you bringing up, Sammy, is an important point. We have today levels of hygiene and refrigeration and pesticides and all the types of things that eliminate almost this problem. Government regulation and so on. So these discussions in the Gemara, we don't even know what kind of discussions we had before. So we have to see it. So he speaks about that. Some say that you have to throw all the rice away, and Rabbi Mishash answers that you could check it thoroughly and then you could eat it. So, but before we go back to his teshuvah, I just want to read you a couple of. Everything's done? Okay, good. A couple of halachot from the Shulchan Aruch itself. But the Shulchan Aruch speaks about worms and bugs and all that. So they have different definitions of what is considered mutar or asur. Depends of what they thought of spontaneous creation and whether it was formed in the fruit, outside the fruit. It was formed in the fruit and then left it and got out. But I will look at those where he says that it's allowed, that we would never do it today. For example, שרצים הגדלים במים שבכלים ושבבורות שיחינו מערות שאינם נובעים מותרים אף על פי שאין להם סנפיר וקסקסת. לפיכך שוכב ושותה מהם ואינו חושש לשרצים שבהם אם יזדמנו לתוך פיו. Any worms or bugs that grow, that are found in water, in gathered water, not in living like a spring, not in a living source of water, but in water wells or in caves. Today we wouldn't do it because of bilharzia, but if you drink the water and along the way you got some bugs, worms, it's okay, not a problem. Okay. Then it says, "Tola'im magdelim beperot betalush mutarim." If you pick the fruits, there were no bugs in the fruits when you picked them, and you left them, and then now you come and you see that there are worms in them. It's okay, you can eat it. Why? So as long as they didn't leave the fruit and went to the to the playground, it's okay. You can still eat it. And then it says, והוא שריחש, אבל תולעים הנמצאים בפולים ואפונים תחת הקליפה. When you open beans and peas, you can sometimes find, stuff inside, little flies or other thing. וכשמוצאים הקליפה, מוצאים היבחושים תחתיהם, מותרים. It's okay because they don't have where to crawl, so it's not כל אשר אתה שורץ על העלה, so you can eat them. It doesn't say that if by mistake you ate them, you didn't make an avera. It says you can eat it. It's like, not a problem. Then he also says, הגדלים בבשר אחר שחיטה ובדגים וגבינה מותרים. כל זמן שלא פרשו. So if an animal was shechted, was slaughtered, and then there's in the meat they see worms, it's okay. They grew from the meat. It's fine. The same with fish and cheese. The Haggah, Rabbi Moshe Israel goes even further. He says, listen to this. This is medieval Europe. עוד נוהגים בתולעים של גבינה לאוכלם, right? Worms that are found in cheese can be eaten. אף על פי שקופצים הנה והנה על הגבינה. They're hopping around. It's like, you have the cheese on the table. It's like, that's probably French. I don't know, French cheese, is it? I don't know.
They say, I never saw.
Right, but not today, but in the past. The simplest method that we have today of keeping food fresh, like in Israel when we were growing up, you couldn't beat the ants. They would be everywhere. So what we used to do, everything would be double bagged and put in the fridge. Sugar in the fridge, flour in the everything is in the fridge. But what people did before there were refrigerators? They used to put things in they would put bowls of water, and they would put the table with the legs in the bowls of water. This way that if bugs come, they crawl and they stay in the water. But sometimes they would have, those coming from the ceiling. There was no way to beat those armies. So they said, okay, there are certain things that you could, whatever you could see, you could see. This is what Shulchan Aruch says. I hope I didn't spoil anyone's breakfast. But he says, he quotes Sefer Zachor LaAvraham. That was written by Rabbi Avraham Al-Kalai, who's also one of the first leaders of Zionism in the Balkans, in the Sephardic world. And he writes this: "Ha'orez yadua she'en darko late'a ela betalush." This is basically you could clean the rice and use it. And Rabbi Mishash Nice is Rabbi Al-Kalai, when he speaks about the worms, he uses the Yiddish word milvin, but in the original book. But he says "Nikret ba'aravit susa." You know what susa? You know this word? Susa? No? Not Suisa. Susa. Okay, I don't know.
Is that a worm?
It's a worm. It's a what do you call it?
Something that's found.
Yeah. Anyway, and so Rav Al-Kalai says this, וזה גם כן ישנו בבדיקה על ידי חמין ועין יפה ומבדקה בשמשה או על ידי כלי זכוכית מגדיל לבריות הקטנות. He says either you can put hot water or look at it in the sun or use a magnifying glass. He doesn't. Rabbi Al-Kalai wrote before that was a modern Hebrew term called זכוכית מגדלת, so he called it כלי זכוכית מגדיל לבריות הקטנות, the one which makes the small things bigger. It says וכל שנבדק ולא נמצא בו שום דבר אין לחוש. Once you checked it and you didn't find anything, it's okay. והכי חזינן לרבנן כשישאי. And this is, I see, the tradition from the older generation. He lived at the turn of the 19th century. So you see already this the kind of progress that the more people have the ability to control whether you have it, you don't have bugs, and you check it, they want to be more mahmir, because we feel naturally, you feel some kind of disgust that you don't want to eat anything that might have had that. So those are the social norms, but the disgust is also not just personal, it's social. If something is accepted in a society, then all people who live in this society decide whether it's if they feel appalled by it or not. right? For example, when remember that when they found horse meat in the meatballs of IKEA in Europe, it was a big scandal. Of course, in some societies, forget about the Jewish halacha, but in some societies, this meat, horse meat, is very accepted. In other societies, horses are for riding. And to eat horse meat is like a taboo. The same thing with dog and cats. I don't get into that. So the same with bugs and worms. The moment it becomes like the norm that you could eliminate them, then we sort of like go to a higher level. He says, "Le'achbid humra v'yitera al hatzibur eno nachon, v'mahmir yachmir le'atzmo." This is the Rabbi Al-Kalai. Said to burden the public, to tell everybody that they shouldn't do it. No, if you want to be for yourself, go ahead, but don't tell others. And then he concludes with an interesting thing. He says, "V'chiyesh eze pri u'ma'achal ba'olam chutz miful hamitzri levado shelo nimtza bo tola'at." Says according to what they have witnessed, the only vegetable that you never found any worms in was black-eyed peas, lubia. Fula mitzri says you never find worms in it. She says, "V'te'esor kol ha'ma'achalim va'perot." So what are you going to tell people? You have to live from now on a lubia diet, black-eyed peas, right? Because it's the only thing you can eat, right? It says, "V'lo nitna Torah le'malachei hasharet." It's a nice conclusion. The Torah was not given to angels. We're not required to go to this level of scrutiny. Whatever you could. Rabbi Meshash adds, זה בדיקה מדוקדקת, כן. So Rabbi Meshash concludes, גם מה שכתב הרב על ידי כלי זכוכית, חומרה גסה איזו. Rabbi Meshash says, even this is exaggerated. You don't need to use a magnifying glass. Because if you say the Torah was not given to angels, Bnei Israel, when the Torah was given in the desert, in Eretz Israel, they didn't have magnifying glasses. So what, they wouldn't eat? Of course they ate. It says, רק בעיניים יפות די, כבר כתבתי בזה מקום אחר ושלום. He says, all you have to do is check it with your naked eye. Whatever you see, you see. Whatever you don't see, you don't have to start excavations. Wash it thoroughly. There, one example, recently, for a couple of years already, there's a rabbi in Brooklyn who tells everyone that they're not allowed to eat strawberries because there are little bugs, tiny microscopic bugs on the strawberry. He says you cannot clean it; it's impossible. So of course he takes pictures and enlarges them, and then you can see that. So now people don't eat strawberries. So this is, in some caterers in Brooklyn are not allowed to serve strawberries. Then someone posted a picture of one of the greatest Hasidic rabbis in Borough Park at the Sheva Barachot, and there's strawberries in front of him, and they have a debate. No, he didn't eat from it. It's only there, but he wouldn't eat from it. It's all complete nonsense. That's what you could see. You see. What you don't see is not there. If one doesn't feel naturally, you don't feel comfortable eating, it's one thing. But be very, very careful not to be extremely mahmir, and also not to offend other people by saying, I don't like parsley, etc. We know that it's not the truth. Anyway.
Rabbi,
But it's true, I really